So, unpacking the events from today, I tried to go on Facebook Live right after the court decision, and apparently, Facebook Live did not like my phone being used as a microphone, and there was no sound. But 10 minutes before we went to trial, the prosecutor told my lawyer he wanted to drop charges, which is exactly what I've been telling people they literally could do, is wait until 10 minutes before and drop charges, which is kind of unfortunate. I mean, so let's unpack that a bit. If the book would be thrown at me, I could have had a $700 fine, which would obviously be problematic. Though I had geared myself up to testify, I wanted to make this as problematic for them as possible and show how much they honored veterans by telling a veteran who had an American flag to get off their property, to kick a veteran off of their property for yelling out things that they didn't like, and then to cite him with criminal trespassing, even though he had a ticket to get in, because they believe in Schrodinger's laws, because they don't actually believe in laws. They only believe in their confirmation bias, and they believe in the ends justify the means. And as long as their message is what gets through, that's all that matters. It's a shitty way to live. It's a shitty way to enforce, right? That's a shitty laws to enforce. And ultimately, it's unfortunate that I wasn't able to have my voice heard. I did make a brief statement to the judge. I didn't want to subject him to some diatribe, but, so, I don't know, maybe I spoke for 30 seconds or so. I just mentioned that, I've been to war zones. I've seen things I can't unsee. And right now we are, having human rights violations on our southern border, and we're on the precipice of going so far that we just can't bring ourselves back. And that's not okay. So right now I'm sitting in the driveway at my house, and just some quiet time right now, just making a quick recording because Facebook Live failed on me. And I'll upload this to YouTube in a little bit and get this on social media. But I want to say thank you to everyone who's supported me. It's cost $3,000 to hire my lawyer to fight this fight. And consider that they said criminal trespassing. Well, if they didn't have a lawyer, they probably would have pushed for criminal trespassing, which means I would have had a Class B misdemeanor on my record, which would make working at the University of Utah problematic, which would give me a criminal record, which would make it hard to even get hired on at some places that said, "Do you have a criminal record?" I'd be forced to say yes, or be lying and be at risk of being exposed at a later date. And so if I was poor and I didn't have the money to fight, I likely would have a Class B misdemeanor on my record. And this is the way the system works. The system works by churning up and chewing up poor people who can't fight back, who don't have the means to stand up and have their voice be heard, don't have the means to fight against the system. And since I do have a lawyer, a good one, they drop charges. And because they don't want to look like assholes. They're fine looking like assholes as long as you don't have the ability to stand up for yourself. Then it's fine to be an asshole, because a guilty verdict means more money for them and means go fuck yourself. And this is the system that we live in. This is not okay. So what are you willing to do? We have human rights violations going on right now on our southern border. When I spoke up, nobody had died yet. We now have had multiple deaths. Children dying, effectively being murdered by ICE and by the detention facilities, and by our I don't know if it's Border Patrol, but definitely the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, being murdered. Right? If I had somebody and I locked somebody in a room in my house and they died, I would be culpable at best manslaughter. Right? So if it's not actual murder by statute, it's definitely manslaughter. And so this is what we are supporting, right, as Americans. And if you don't stand up against it, the history's always shown that those who try to remain neutral, that neutrality always benefits the aggressor. Always. It never benefits. Neutrality never benefits those who are being infringed upon. So the people in the cages, if you don't speak up, that's only going to help the people throwing them in cages. The kids who are dying, if you don't speak up, it's only going to help those who put them in a position and force their death. So now imagine that our intervention, right? So we had a coup in Honduras, made Honduras the most dangerous place in the world in 2009. The politician, I'll let you look that up, the politician who claimed had nothing to do with it, that they were innocent of that coup, then so they could make money off of it, wrote about it in a book that they released, that book called Hard Choices. So they lied to us, gaslighted us, told us that they had nothing to do with it, but then wrote about it in a book so they could make money. So they made Honduras the most dangerous place in the world. Well, guess where the neighboring areas of Honduras are? Yeah, Guatemala and El Salvador. These are the people that are marching up 1,000 miles of desert to then get thrown into dog kennels on our southern border. So we force the issue and we create the environment where they are displaced and they have to leave for risk of death and for a better life for their kids. So what do? We separate them from their kids in a way in which there's nearly no way to reunite them, right? So we've deported people without deporting their kids, and so now their kids are stuck here, they're deported, their kids may never see their parents ever again. So we force them to leave a horrific environment, and then we force them to enter a horrific environment, and then we say, well, we shouldn't come here in the first place, with disregarding our actions causing their displacement in the first place. How is that in any way okay? So if you don't stand up, you're supporting the aggressors. These are innocent people. And these innocent people whose rights are being downtrodden, the people taking their rights are saying, praise be unto God. If you really are a God-fearing person, doesn't that make you feel a little sick inside? So maybe you should stand up. We have people that say, where are moderate Muslims? Where are moderate Muslims to stand up against Al-Qaeda, to stand up against Al-Nusra, against ISIS, against Al-Shabaab, against Boko Haram? Where are the moderate Muslims? Where are the moderate Christians? Where are the moderate Christians standing up against this gross human rights violation on our southern border? People are saying praise be unto God as they are torturing little kids, psychologically torturing, throwing them in ice boxes, forcing them to get pneumonia that they may never recover from, that might cause permanent scarring of their lungs. Praise be unto God. This is what America represents now. The torturing of little kids. Praise be unto God. So if you don't stand up, you're aiding the aggressor. If you don't stand up, nothing will ever change. What are you willing to do to stand for your fellow human?